umeamka vizuri na uko tayari kuweza kupambana na siku yako ya pili ya wiki. It's the 2nd November of 2021. It's another day. It's the State of the Nation edition, the Tuesday of the 2nd November 2021. Ali ya nchi kwa jamani ulipo, tuambie unatazama kutoka wapi, you watching us from. Please when you join in, please like. When you like, we know that you're watching us, and that like, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to wide the broadcast. This is Attack on It begins now. Leo tunataka kuzungumzia mambo ya uongozi na masomo, leadership and education leadership, and we have a discussion around what does it take to be a leader, what does it take as well to revolutionize the systems in this country and ensure that we are able to work better. Let's also look at the public and private institutions, educational institutions, what needs to happen there to ensure that we get the best value from our education system. Juzi pia ulisikia kuna madaktari walienda pale UK na walianguka kidogo mtihani ya Kiingereza. So we learn to know as well, is it that we have a disconnect between our education system and the international education system, ama kuna kwanga kumekuwa vipi? Lakini kama kawaida, we have tuende mbele za Mungu tuombe, alafu tukibasi tukirudi na kuja kuwapa salamu zenu. Naona watu wameamka tayari, watu Australia, I can see you guys already up. USA, thank you so much guys, karibuni pia all the guys from diaspora. It's a pleasure to have you this morning. Please when you join us, please like. When you like, we get to know that you're watching us, and that like, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to wear the broadcast. Karibuni sana. Mighty Father, we come before you this morning, worshiping God for your name. Thank you for another opportunity to be alive this morning. We thank you for this show. We thank you for every conversation that we are about to have. May it edify the fabric of this country. For we pray, trusting and believing. Amen and amen. Asante sana. Paul Kipiago, good morning. Good morning to you. Ronald Kipsige, good morning. Kimutai Patrick, good morning. Bitok watching from Kericho, asante sana. Gakife, good morning from Thika. Good morning to you, Gaki. Mili Kosi, Mili tuned in from Australia, as usual, my favorite show. Good to see you, Mili. On anniversary follow. Good to see you, karibuni sana. It's indeed a very, very good morning. Seklin Masa, good to see you from Narok. Morning from Narok. It's been a minute, man. Karibu tena. Alex Chage, good morning. Gerald from Kibagenge. Thank you so much, my sister Alex Chage, all the way from Kitale, Kibagenge. Manuel Salam, good morning my brother. Good morning, long time. It's been long bro. You come end up lakini karibu Redempta Mugun. Good morning from Eldoret. Koko Iplomeri, good morning to Bitok watching live from Marakwet. Moses Kamau, good morning. Casey Wise, good morning to you my brother. Kipkwachi Riyad, good morning from Narok. Mili Koske, good morning. Good morning. Shemin Hila, morning from watching from Eldoret. Good morning. Are you still vying for governorship? Yeah, tutaenda tafika hapo. Yeah, Ariaba Job, good morning. Gerald Bitok watching for Cabernet Road, Nairobi. Asante sana, karibu sana Ariemba. Mili Kosgei, happy new month. Millie tuned in from Western Australia. Good to see you, Millie. Happy new month to you. Geoffrey Kimathi Mbwiria, good morning. GB tuned in from Meru. Asante sana to Meru. Misoi Olive, good morning from Nairobi. Keep quiet. Keep. Good morning, Gerald. Watching live from Eldoret. Keep Lombe base. Good to see you. Elias Lagat, good morning. Bitok tuned in from Mount Elgon. Okay, from Elgon View, Eldoret. Langad Edwin Kiprotich, good morning. Watching from Eldoret, Home of Champions. Chin Ku, good morning. G, good morning to you. Talam Kip from JKI Live, good morning. Kenny Amikas, good morning, tuned in from Maldai. Councillor Steven Sim Kim, good morning, watching from Ganze. Boaz Lang Kidwa, Boaz Lang watching from Merewed, good morning, Kenya. Good morning to you. Tuoto wa mtaani pale Merewed, good to see you, Lang. David Kiblaka, good morning from Naivasha. Thank you so much, guys. When you join in, please like. When you like, you get to know that you're watching us. And that way, like, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. This is a Tuesday, the 2nd of November, 2021. It's a new month and the State of the Nation. We're talking about education and leadership. And we are with Professor Dan KIAMBI from the PSC University, VICE-CHANCELLOR, PSC University. And atatuongoza leo kwa mazungumzo. He is alone, so he has a long 2 hours to do it. So you're going to ensure that we extract the best value from him, and we hope that we're going to give back value to you. If you have any questions as well, please send it to us. This is a season where the students are beginning to riot. We've seen, I think, almost how many schools have already on riot. I'm trying to check. Let me see. I think I had a list here of schools that are already on riot. High schools. I don't know what's going on in this country. Anyway, it's the season again. Only schools fires in August. August only. Buruburu girls already at a protest. Sigalame, Ofafa Kiriko, Kimilili Chiriko, Kimilili boys, Figa boys, Kamba girls, Kitweku girls, Namboboto, Kanjuri High, Ringa Boys, Osingo Mix, St. Peter's Obuao, Dr. Kraft Boys, Kabarak High School, Boy Girls, Marsabit, Jabagali Boys, Nyamwage Boys High School in Kisii, Bugidi Boys High School in Kitanga, Sub-County Muranga, Kipkabus Boys High School in Wasingishu, St. John's Nyamagwa Boys High School, Malindi High School, Kibirigwi Girls. And recently we saw what happened in Buruburu Girls. I mean, it was quite unfortunate to see what happened at Buruburu Girls. Children were even jumping all through the windows for safety. And you keep wondering what happens when it gets to a second time, every time during the educational cycle, these guys want to go home. Ama wanataka kuchoma shule, or they want to destroy property. They are rioting every other time. So you get to know as well, what is the psychology behind these students? What goes on there? I know Prof interacts majorly with the adults, but I'm sure they are coming from a system that has already shaped them to be there. Good morning to you, Professor.
Morning, Gerard. How are you this morning?
Good to see you finally.
See you.
We've been hunting you. We almost sent a council of elders to look for you.
It's been a very busy season for us.
Right.
Preparing for governing council meetings,
Okay.
and many other, engaging activities. But I'm glad that I was able to come this morning.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to have you.
Yes.
So maybe I want to give you an opportunity as well to introduce yourself to the viewers who are watching you this morning. Who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Good morning, viewers. My name is Dionysius KIAMBI, and let me just say that I love the Lord as my personal savior. I always, say that up front because I'm not shy. I'm never shy of proclaiming my faith. And I am serving as the Deputy Vice-Chancellor at Pan-African Christian University. It's one of the several Christian universities that we have here in Kenya. And we are doing our very best to develop godly Christian leaders that are transformational through research, training, and innovations so that they can serve God and whenever he will post them in the community. So we espouse value-based leadership. I know there's a lot of talk about leadership, and there are lots of concepts about what leadership is and what it's not, what it is not. But we espouse value-based and transformational leadership, leadership that is aimed at transforming society, and leadership that is that integrates values, honesty, truthfulness, integrity, and that's what we are lacking a lot in the society today. Yes.
Why do you think we lack it? Even because you started from there, why do you think we lack these values to an extent that we need an education system that inculcates this? Do you feel there's been a regime failure in addressing the value system?
Let me start, Gerard, by saying that everything rises and falls with leadership. One of the leadership gurus, John Maxwell, stated that quite a long time ago that everything rises and falls with leadership. Yeah. And if you actually look at that statement, it's quite true. If you look at the most successful families, if you look at the most successful institutions, most successful nations, it all boils down to leadership.
Yes.
And we are all leaders in many different capacities. At the family level, at the institutional level, at the societal level, we have a role and a responsibility for leadership in different aspects. For example, I was in Rwanda in 1994, just immediately after the genocide. I was part of a group that was reintroducing agriculture into the system because the agriculture system had completely broken down. Farmers had no seeds because they were coming back from where they had taken refuge. The farm lands were completely desolate, and they had to start from somewhere, and that is and agriculture starts from seeds.
Yes.
So as part of a consortium that was reintroducing agricultural system back into the country by bringing new seeds, and there was destruction all over the place. I mean, the country was in desolate state. It was in a sorry state. Wherever you went was destruction. Look at Rwanda today. It's a completely different story.
Sure.
Why? Because of leadership. So at the bottom of all successes of nations, institutions, families is leadership. Look at, for example, a country like Democratic Republic of Congo. They have got so many resources. I mean, it's one of the most endowed country in the world in terms of resources. But look at where they are economically. Why? Because of leadership. And even here in Kenya, coming back home, you can compare the different leadership regimes. We had Kenyatta, we had President Moi, we had Kibaki, and now we have Uhuru. And you can see the impact of their leadership. I don't know to evaluate their leadership, but we all know what each.
It would be good to see your evaluation as well.
Yes.
I think it would be good to see your evaluation of the different regimes.
So I just wanted to say that everything rises and falls with leadership. And leadership is also about influence, but also influence to what direction, to which direction. And as leaders, we ought to influence people in the right direction. We have seen influence in negative direction, even in this country. For example, in 2007, when this country almost went down on the knees. Why? Because of influence of leaders, influencing, the masses in the wrong direction. So leadership is also about influence, and you all have a responsibility to influence people in the right direction. Even here, Gerard, you are a leader because you are leading a team of the people that you're employing here. And they're looking up to you for leadership. And whether you like it or not, what you do and how you do it influences them. So influence can also be direct or also indirect. And like I said, we all need to influence people to do the right thing and to influence them in the right direction.
All right. Talking about influence, rises and falls in leadership. I don't think at some point where we're doing elections right now, we are not going to import candidates. We are choosing people who have been here, they've grown up here, they've gone through our education system, through our parenting system, they have gone through our churches. For those who go to church, for those who go to mosque, they have gone through our mosques. Pretty much they have gone through the same environment that we still have right now. They've been children here someday, and today they're adults, right? And they're seeking positions of leadership. We are having a situation where the children that we are raising, who are in school right now, are rioting. You've seen what is happening in high schools mostly, and you find that most of the time, a young person is shaped through during the high school time, because that's when they spend the time away from home. They get to interact with other people. They get the freedom to make decisions. That's what determines whether they're going to go to university or not. The high school pretty much defines how an adult is going to function as a leader. If they ever grows, if he riots in school, burns down the school, comes out and grows to be a leader tomorrow, then it definitely influences what kind of a leader is going to be. But I would want to take us through this. In Kenya, it's almost predictable that every time we are getting to a second term or maybe mid-year in school, we are seeing all these writing things. And I don't know if you've taken your time to analyze the psychology behind the unrest in schools, in high schools particularly, and what effects it has on the future as well.
Okay, thank you, Gerard. I think I'll come back again to leadership. And leadership is needed in every sector of the society, in the educational sector, in the health sector, in the political sector. Leadership is needed everywhere. And I think one of the fundamental problems is that we have not had very consistent and very steady leadership when it comes to administration of schools. For example, we hear directives from the government, you must do this, you must do this, rather than engaging the leaders in a consultative process. And transactional leadership, that's transactional leadership, is always resisted because it's like, people loading down on others. And I think what has been lacking a lot is a proper institutional framework for engaging students with the issues that affect them. And of course, when they are not given an opportunity to air their views in a structured manner, the outcome is basically, to protest. I have a colleague of mine who is a member of the board of one of the high schools, and we were having a discussion with her when was it yesterday, because there's some that we're supposed to do for Monday, but she was not able to do it, and she was telling me she went for a board meeting in the school, and as soon as she arrived there, she saw smoke, spewing from one of the boarding houses. And she started wondering what's going on. And she was told that students had rioted and they had attempted to burn the school. But apparently only one cubicle had burned. And the police were called and they were all over the place. Then after about an hour, and fire broke out again in another boarding house in the same school. And this time the fire was quite serious. And that's the time that she decided, no, this environment is not good for me, and she went away. So some of the boys that were involved in burning the school were actually caught up with, and they were being interviewed. They were asked, why are you doing this? And they said that they were protesting the government directive that there's not going to be half-term. So you see, when directives are given without a proper consultation, and I think there's that reaction of protest. I'm not saying that's the main reason, but I think the fundamental point is that I believe and I think that we don't have a structured institutional framework for engaging with students on the issues that concern them on a day-to-day basis because of the leadership that we espouse. I would rather that we engaged in what is called transformational leadership, which actually calls for dialogue, a discussion, negotiation, and coming up to a good conclusion about issues and matters.
All right. So you feel even within our schools there's no proper leadership structures or proper leadership culture, for that matter?
I'm not saying there isn't, but it could be improved. Of course, we have got board of governors, we've got the headmasters, and we've got the deputy headmasters. But I think the institutional framework for engaging students on issues that affect them on a day-to-day basis could be strengthened. Of course, the other reason is the fear and fever of exams. The fact that new exams are around the corner, maybe students feel they're not quite prepared, and if they protested that the school was closed down, then they would have more opportunities to read. It could also be psychological. We have been having a period of psychological stress as a result
During
of
COVID time.
As a result of COVID. So people are stressed. And if we don't provide counseling services, especially in schools, we have this kind of manifestations of people just erupting because of the pent-up emotions. So that's another issue that I think the counseling services in schools should be strengthened. There should also be an institutional framework for providing counseling services to students in high schools and even in primary schools. Yeah.
So as an educationist, what do you think that will be the solution in just a pointer form? How do you think this could be fixed? If you are a principal probably of an high school somewhere, how do you fix this problem?
I think
is it possible?
If I was a principal of a high school, I would do what I was taught at Starehe, because I was educated at Starehe.
Oh, okay.
And I was very happy and glad to be mentored by Dr. Geoffrey Griffin.
Oh.
And what we used to do in Starehe is that every Friday evening we would have a baraza. And during baraza, the students were immune. You could actually say anything. You could criticize anyone. You could criticize any system or any structure of the school without fear of victimization. It was called baraza because it was an open discussion, an honest discussion between the school leadership and the students. And you could actually criticize anyone without fear of being victimized afterwards. Everybody was immune. And during barazas, issues used to come out, many challenging issues. And that way, students were given an opportunity to ventilate their emotions. And the school management was able to get to grasp some of the issues that were affecting us.
Without victimization.
And they were being addressed. So I think I would develop an institutional framework for engaging with students on a regular basis, not when issues arise, but on a regular basis, so that we arrest the issues before they erupt. So we become preemptive instead of reactive. Because a lot of times we just respond to crisis instead of looking at for ways and means of avoiding the crisis in the first place. So I think regular and institutionalized and formalized dialogue between the students and the school leadership would be helpful.
All right. Okay. What do you think is the state of our leadership? What is the state of our leadership, sir?
In what sense?
In the sense of how the country is run.
The state of our leadership in Kenya?
Yes.
Yeah, lady, it's difficult to sum up the state of
you
leadership.
can say maybe leadership and public management, because now that would sound so that it doesn't sound very political.
No, okay, let me say that in Kenya, we do have institutional frameworks, we do have policies, we do have guidelines that can help us to launch into the deep in terms of economic development. But I think one of the problems that we experience is that the policies that you have in place are not usually enforced to the letter. And sometimes when they're enforced in partiality. Let me give an example. I happened to have a discussion with one of the town clerks in Nairobi. Let me not mention his name, but he was a very prominent person, and he actually brought a lot of transformation in Nairobi City, in terms of how things are done, in terms of the outlook. And so I had an opportunity to have a discussion with him. We met in a function, and I asked him, so what have you done to bring this transformation in this city? I mean, the city looks clean, the buildings are all painted up, the city is looking orderly. What did you have to do? He told me, when I got into that position, I simply looked at the policies and guidelines that were in place, and I found a policy guideline that said that for you to be able for you to have your license renewed, you have to paint your building. And he said, that's what I did. I enforced that policy. So anyone who came to have the license renewed, I would say, inspectors to go and check whether the building was freshly painted. So it's what I'm trying to say is that it's not that we lack policies and guidelines. It's just the enforcement that lacks. Sometimes the goodwill that lacks, and another times it's just that we enforce them partially, or we enforce them partially, and sometimes with favoritism and all that. For example, let me give an example. During the COVID-19 pandemic, there's a time when political rallies were banned because of, so that we can stop the spread of COVID-19. And we all know that there's some politicians
who are still running,
while others, try to organize political rallies, and they were dispersed, and they were not allowed to. So partial and partial implementation of policies, favoritism, and impunity sometimes is what is causing weaknesses in our leadership. But I would say that the leadership that we have is pretty good leadership. We have seen a lot of development happening in the last 10 or so years. But of course, there could be a better call for unity in the leadership nationally.
Okay. All right. So it's time again for the campaigns, and every other person is coming in with things that they want to do. Unasikia kuna ingine inaitwa bottom up, ingine inaitwa middle out, ingine inaitwa rural development. Everyone is coming in with their own agenda and their own definition of how they think the country should be run. And all these conversations are not consultative with the people that are going to be run. They're ruled. The rulers are coming in with prescriptions. They're not asking, where are you feeling? Kichwa inauma, ama ni kiuno, ama ni mgongo, ama ni homa. They're just coming and saying, all right, you guys, you're going to take Panadol. All of you. Whether you're suffering from a flu, whether you're having a different problem, whether maybe you're just tired, saying, guys, you're going to have Panadol. Another person's coming in, all of you would be having Piritons. Another one is, everyone is coming on with what they think would be fit to run this country. We are not consulting the experts in the, like even in matters education. Yes. I've not seen consultation happening around people of your area, people you're running an educational system, you're interacting with the education system, seeing the economic system. You're not seeing people sitting down, economists, and discussing what the economy would run. Even the ruled are not being consulted on what they think would best work for them. It's a season again, and I know where you sit, and when you're not sitting, you're walking. Where you walk, all these policies affect you at the end of the day. When the government decides to make these decisions, they affect you in a very huge way as well. And there's a way you probably think the country would be run. And at this point, every person is sitting back and thinking, maybe this is what should be done, or this is what proper leadership would espouse, proper governance would espouse. What are your thoughts on governance?
Yeah, let me first of all distinguish between two things, leadership and politician. A politician is not necessarily a leader. I was once listening to a debate, not actually a debate, it was an interview. I was in Canada. I lived in Canada. My family lived in Canada for some time, and this time I was just watching television, and there was an interview. And the interview was being conducted by one of the newscasters from one of the broadcasting stations there. And he was interviewing this Red Indian chief who had given a lot of his land to the government so that the government can construct schools, hospitals, and other amenities for the public. And he was being asked, now that you've given a lot of your communal land to the government so that the government can build community facilities for the communities, are you a politician? Then he paused and said, no, I'm not a politician. I am a leader. Oh, then the newscaster asked, okay, so they said, is there a difference between a politician and a leader? He said, oh yes, there's a difference. Then he asked him, who is a politician? And he said, a politician is a person who will do things or say things for purposes of winning an election or for purposes of winning a position, even if his own convictions are not in line with what he is saying. Then he's just doing things, saying things for the purposes of a selfish motive. For example, a position or for a political position, even if what he's saying is not aligned with his own personal convictions. I said, oh, that's very interesting. And then who is a leader? And say, a leader is somebody with a vision that he's convicted, he or she is convicted about. And he wants to rally people around that vision so that together they can achieve that vision. That is a leader. And he's doing that not out of selfish motives, but out of his desire to see common good happen to everyone. So I think, Gerard, we need to distinguish between politicians
and leaders.
And so the question is, out of all those people that are talking about this and that, do you see a leader or do you see a politician? And even in the country's leadership, we have seen different, presidents and their leadership styles. For example, we saw President Jomo Kenyatta's style. We saw President Moi's style, President Kibaki's style. Now we are seeing President Uhuru's style. And the question is, do you see leadership or do you see a politician?
A politician.
Look at, for example, Kibaki's leadership. I think, I wouldn't say he was an excellent politician, but he was a great leader. And within 10 years, we were able to recover a lot of what we had lost in the previous years. So that's why I'm saying it's important to distinguish between a leader and a politician. And for me, the question is, out of all those people that are vying for various positions, do we see leadership? Because what we need most is leadership. But of course, there's an element of politics in leadership. But I think the bigger chunk should be around leadership abilities, leadership styles, vision. Yes, you are aspiring to be a president or aspiring to be a governor. What is your vision? What vision are you espousing? What vision are you rallying people around so that together you can achieve it for the common good? And I think, like I said, I think we're having more of politicians than leaders. Again, I listened to a discussion. I think it was an interview. This lady called Graka Michelle was being interviewed by one of the newscasters in Kenya, and she was asked a very interesting question. And she was asked, "What would you say is the best way of assessing the impact of a leader?" She stepped back and said, "Every president or every leader should be judged on the basis of the extent to which he or she has lifted the economic conditions of the people from one level to another. The extent to which he has done that." And I thought that was fundamental.
Profound, yes.
Because even as a leader, you need to have your own benchmarks. Yes. But this is the position where you found a situation. Yeah. And by the time your leadership ends, you should be able to see what is the impact and to what extent have you now lifted from that level to another higher level. And I think we that's what we should be looking for in leaders that are able to lift people from one level to another. For example, in this country, we have got a lot of people who are living below the poverty line. We would want a leader who clearly tells us, how are you going to lift the
living standards of these people.
The living standards of these people from where they are now to a higher level. And we should have a basis of assessing that at the end of that leadership era. So, in my view, we need to have leadership that is visionary, leadership that is transformational, and leadership that is value-based and leading with values. For example, corruption is a big animal in this country, a huge animal. And we would want a leader who is truly committed to dealing with this issue of corruption. It can be done. It is possible. Nothing is impossible. The Bible says nothing is impossible to those that believe. And we have seen the government machinery move in a big way to deal with issues. Look at the way the government dealt with the matatu industry chaos during Mishuki's time. Nobody thought,
it could be fixed.
It could be fixed. But the government fixed it. And I'm telling you, the government has the machinery, it has got the resources, the infrastructure to deal with any problem that we have in this country. It's just about goodwill. Is there goodwill? Is there goodwill to deal with some of these issues? And if there's goodwill, especially from the top, from the highest level, I think it will be possible.
Right. And even as you define the leadership, difference between a leader and politician, we both understand for us to get these leaders, it's a political process.
Yes.
And most of the time, the political process is mastered by the politicians. That's why it's called political process.
Yes.
So the chances, what are the chances of a duck hatching a hen? Because the process is already rigged for the politicians, or in favor of politicians, and the people who run a political process most of the time are these politicians as well. Really, Kibaki, for instance, he had several stints at becoming the president of this country. He became the president at these answered years. That even if we still wanted him, it would have been impossible to continue having him in office, because probably he was in his last phases, almost resting phases, retiring phases of his life. The process itself is political, rigged in favor of politicians.
Yep.
What are chances then of having leadership instead of politicians?
Yeah, let me first of all say that, like I said, even leaders do need to have an element of politics.
Okay.
Yeah, because you need a political machine and a political system. And I think what leaders would need to do is to develop a team that is strong in politics. And that's the team that would help such a person to get into a leadership position. So because you need a machinery, a political machinery, to get into the political positions. So I think it's a question of putting in place a team that is strong in the political element of the process, and getting a machinery that will propel the person into a position of leadership. Yeah, and I also think that we need a lot of awareness at the community level. We need a lot of civic education, so that people don't just look at the goodies that a politician is offering, but they look at what are the visions, what's the vision, what's the dream, what is the agenda, that this politician is having, and is it realistic? Is it just a false promise? Yeah, so
Sloganeering.
Yeah, so we need a lot of civic education, and also we need to get away from these politics of money, because you've been given money by someone, so you feel obliged to elect them. I don't know how we shall ever deal with that, because a lot of people are influenced by the money they get from politicians, and I don't know how we shall ever get out of that vicious circle. Yeah, but somehow I would love that we deal with it, but I don't know how this can be done.
There always a problem.
Yeah.
All right. So you've heard about the policies that are coming out, the campaign agendas that are coming in. Most candidates as well has been accused of being sloganeers, or selling slogans to us. In 2017, we had Tuko Pamoja, we had Nasao, we had all these slogans and all that. Now we at a season where we are somehow heading towards the right direction in terms of discussing policy and the issues that affect Wananchi. I'm sure as well, sir, you've been paying attention to these policies that are being floated, because you probably end up as the user, and you've been able to critique them. I would not want you to critique the policies that have been floated already. I want you to give us a roadmap on what you think would take this country forward. What kind of policies do you think will move this country? What form of public leadership do you think will take us to the next level?
Gerard, when President Kibaki came to power, he mobilized a lot of experts, not just from Kenya, but even from outside this country. The best brains that you could ever think of. And they put up this Vision 2030 as a roadmap for Kenya's economic, political, and social development. And it was a very, 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 very well thought out,
footprint of a blueprint.
Blueprint for our economic development. Yeah. And if we followed that Vision 2030 to the letter, it would have led us to where we want to go. And I believe that a review of that Vision 2030 in terms of what have we achieved, why have we not achieved it, and what do we need to do to achieve it. 2030 is not too far. Yeah. And then start thinking of another, vision, maybe 2060, that will be able to propel us to the next level of economic development. But I think having a very, very clear vision, like I said, leadership is about vision. And there was a vision, clear vision, that was developed and written and it was done through a very highly consultative process of the best brains in this country. I would desire that we have a system of assessing what have we done with Vision 20, what are the gaps that need to be filled, what do we need to do to fulfill it, and what do we need to do to develop the next vision, maybe Vision 2060. If there would be a leader that would really do exactly that, I would be happy with such a leader. Yeah, because along the way, I think we lost track in terms of, we had many side shows that kept us off track in terms of implementing the Vision 2030. But it was a very well thought out plan and strategy for helping this country to leap into high economic realms.
So you think we should go back to Vision 2030, or you now shifted again?
No,
we had another 30 years.
not go back. Look at what we have achieved.
Yes.
Ask ourselves, what is it that we have not achieved?
In line with the vision.
In line with the vision, because it was a very well thought out. And then implement what we have not implemented as we prepare for the next Vision 20, for the next strategic vision, maybe Vision 2060 or Vision 2028 or whatever it is. But there already should be a process of thinking through how to develop the next vision for this country.
All right. I want to give you an opportunity to exhaust your thoughts on anything to do with leadership. Generally, I want to give you some minutes. You exhaust your thoughts completely on what you think about the general state of leadership. And as well, even as you talk about this, 2030 as well was there. We agree it was there. But there's almost a feeling from the way the government keeps operating, there's a feeling that we've already moved away from that. Like people already from Vision 2030, they are doing their own things. Uhuru Kenyatta came up with his Big Four agenda. He has been criticized that he has moved away as well from the Big Four agenda, and they moved to other issues that were not within the roadmap that had been developed. But I would want you to just help us from your own position and exhaust your thoughts on general leadership strategies that you think would work, what do you think ails Kenya, what do you think could be fixed, and what do you think cannot be fixed, and by who, and why not? Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a very broad agenda.
Yes.
But let me say that the type of leadership that I would aspire for is the type of leadership that brings national unity. There's nothing more important than unity. Because even the Bible says that where there is unity, God commands a blessing. I know we are a country with so many ethnic groups, 43 now. And it could be a Herculean task of creating unity, given that there are so many different ethnic groups. But I believe it is possible to bring unity in this country so that people think of themselves as Kenyans first, as opposed to thinking of themselves as Kikuyus or Luos, Kambas, and all that. I know it's difficult, but it's possible. In Tanzania, they were able to bring a sense of national unity, so that a Tanzania feels offended when you ask them what tribe they belong to, because there's a very high sense of unity. So unity is one thing that I believe that if we were able to get a leader who bring unity to this country, who would unite this country, so that we feel a sense of oneness as a nation, as opposed to belonging to a particular ethnic groups. Of course, we do belong to different ethnic groups, and that and you cannot run away from the fact. I cannot deny my biological heritage, but it becomes it's wrong for me or anybody else to use that as a basis of denying others opportunities or giving others opportunities just on the basis of their ethnicity. So we will, and there are reasons why we should feel proud of our cultural heritage, our languages, our cultures, but let not that be used as a reason for giving people favors or not giving other people favors. So national unity is one of the things that I do believe we need to aspire for, a leader who would help us create that sense of national unity. And we want a leader who would help us bridge the gap between the poor and the rich. It's obvious that almost 90% of the wealth of this country belongs to very few people, and we still have a lot of people out there living below the poverty line. How can we bridge this gap between the very poor and the very rich? How do we engage in a process that will ensure that at least that we don't have too many people there living below the poverty line, or have a very few people up there owning almost 90% of the resources of this country? I think we need to bridge that gap between the very rich and and the very poor. And I think we need a political system that will enable us to have, that will create an enabling environment for people to do business. Sometimes what people need is not, handouts here and there.
Yes.
What people usually need is
The space to be productive.
A space to be productive, an enabling environment for them to do business, a peaceful environment for them to do business wherever they want in this country, because this country is all ours. That somebody can do business in Mombasa or northern frontier districts, whatever, because they are Kenyans. So we would want a leader who creates an enabling environment for people to do business and to transact and to thrive. And I think the other important thing would be perhaps a leader who connects us to the rest of the world, in a meaningful way. We are not, an island of our own. We need integration with the regional and even international systems. A leader who will connect us with those kind of systems so that we get the benefit out of the opportunities that are out there, while not ceding or losing too much of our ground. Yeah, I believe those are some of my thoughts.
All right, okay. Wacha tulipe bills. Lipa uchumi kidogo.
And of course, a leader who is going to help us deal with this problem of corruption.
Do you think? But the problem is, the more we talk about corruption, the more we sink deeper. Because I think the problem is a moral authority to fight corruption. Because when you see all these guys, their hands are very tainted. So maybe it's the moral authority that comes with it. Because if I want to tell you that you need to go and take a shower and I'm stinking myself, I mean, it's an oxymoron. It becomes it's somewhat paradoxical. Yeah. So I think maybe the problem that we have is the fact that all these guys that you're having on the cycle, the ring, somehow or some way have been involved, whether historically, most of the guys are sitting on the heritage of corruption. Some are new players in corruption. Somehow, all of them are still involved in this thing. So I don't know what Abbas, I don't know, in your own thoughts, why do you think we've never really slaughtered this monster called corruption? We keep talking about it. Every government comes with the agenda that we will fight corruption. Zero tolerance to corruption. Corruption. But when they come in, it's the more corruption that they do. Yeah. They fatten the bull of corruption. Why do you think we've never really slaughtered this giant?
I think it all boils down to what I said earlier about value-based leadership, putting in place leaders that espouse the right values, integrity, honesty, truthfulness, openness, and we don't seem to have those kind of leaders. And that's why, like I said earlier, we at Park University are doing our very best to inculcate values and Christian virtues in our academic programs, so that by chance, some of the people that come pass through our hands will find themselves in a position of responsibility, and they will be able to espouse those values in society. It's easier said than done, but I think at the end of the day, it boils down to having leaders of with integrity and with the right values. Yeah, and you had asked me about what other issues. I think the other issue that I think we need to tackle is how to deal with the unemployment, especially among the youth.
Yes,
it's a big issue. A very high percentage of our youth are unemployed, and you're talking about an very energetic, workforce that can engage, that can be very productive, and we need to find innovative ways of creating opportunities for the youth. And I think it might also go back to our academic system, because if you look at the way our academic system is structured, we have tailored it along the lines of encouraging our children to go to school, go to high school, go to university, and then get a job. We have not done very well in terms of introducing concepts of entrepreneurship early enough in education system, so that our young people know that all there is not just academics. You can get into academics, but at the same time branch into entrepreneurship if you are not meant for academics. Not everyone is meant for the academic line. Sure. There are those that have got entrepreneurial skills, but I don't think you have done very well in terms of developing systems and structures that can help our young people to know and to realize that entrepreneurship is also an option. And I think that's one of the aims of CBC to help children identify their skills and talents and grow them, so that if they are not meant for academics, then they can venture
they can find another path.
Into another path. Yeah, and also we don't have a system of capturing innovations. We have got so many innovations that we see from our young people, but a lot of those innovations don't get anywhere because we don't have a system of carrying out an inventory of these innovations from these young people and helping them to incubate the innovations and commercialize them. Once in a while, these innovations are identified by outsiders, and these young people are taken, and the innovation is taken up and it becomes a big thing. For example, look at M-Pesa. You know, the young man who came up with M-Pesa, what is in it for him right now?
It's nothing.
Not much. So I think we need a national system of harnessing innovation, helping our young people to incubate those innovations and commercialize those innovations. Those are some of the things that we could perhaps do to alleviate the problem of youth unemployment, in addition to other innovative strategies that we may come with. But I think we need a government that or a leader that is really committed to seeing how we can deal with the problem of youth unemployment, because it is real, and a lot of them are getting so frustrated because they have the right education, the right skills, but no opportunities. But of course, one of the other problems is that our economy is not growing at a rate that can absorb all these students that are coming from our university. So we need to grow the economy to a level where it's strong enough to absorb all the students that are coming from our universities. And of course, the other thing is that it boils down to the relevance of our graduates to the industry. And not so long ago, a study was carried out, and it was discovered that 56% of the graduates who get into the job market are not suitable for the job market. Why? Because there seems to be a disconnect between universities and the industry
and the job market.
And the job market. So universities develop programs without much input from the industry. So the graduates end up not being relevant to the needs of the industry. And at Park University, what we're doing is we've come up with 6 priority areas. One of the priority areas that I came up with is to linking up or partnership with the industry. And when you link up with the industry, you benefit in many ways. First of all, you get to know what are the issues in the marketplace, what are the issues in the industry, so that as you develop the programs and you develop the curricula,
you're developing it for the market.
You are developing it for the industry and for the industry. And the other reason is that you'll be able to develop graduates that are market ready, and you'll also be able to get opportunities for the students to get internships in the industry before they graduate, and that makes them relevant for the industry. And of course, there could be opportunities for jobs. So if we don't have strong links between universities and the industry, we'll always be developing graduates that are not really suitable for the marketplace, which is unfortunate, because we spend a lot of money, educating the young people.
Okay. All right. That's it. We have to develop as well the education system and the skill sets for the industry, because you're training swimmers in a desert. And when they don't get to work, you wonder why they are not working. All right. Tulipa madeni kidogo. Kama unajenga, Rexa Roofing is giving you an opportunity to ensure that your roof in the best way possible. Rexa Roofing inakupa material safi zaidi ya kuweza kuwekeza nyumba yako. Rexa Roofing gives you quality roofing shingles, and we always ask to you and talk to you about the quality roofing shingles, and we tell you that, you could have a wide range of choices on what to roof your house on, but you never get to roof your house twice, you roof it once. So if you are going to do it, you better do it right. So Rexa Roofing gives an opportunity to be able to roof your house in the best way possible. But I tell you this, that your roof is your house's crown. Kama kuna kofia ya nyumba yako nataka kuiona kila siku, and the roof, it depends on the kind of a roof that you put. If you choose to do shingles, there's a wide range of variety for shingles. We also choose to do stone coated tiles, wide profiles as well, that you can choose from Rexa Roofing. And every time you give any advantages of why you should roof with Rexa Roofing products, we are giving you a guarantee, a workmanship guarantee of 10 years. This is what we're telling you, that if we roof your house, we'll be on ground for 10 years. Anything that happens to your roof, we're able to fix it within 10 years. And we're also giving you a product guarantee of 50 50 years. I don't know where you will be in the next 50 years, but I can guarantee you that your roof will still be here with us. Your roof will still be with us 50 years later. And you're also harvesting water. We encouraging as well water conservation. This month, I think, has been the World Environment Month, or Environment Awareness Month, and encouraging people to harvest water and to conserve water. We can harvest water in the safest way possible using UPVC water harvesting gutters from Rex Roofing. You're harvesting water and you want to consume it 100% safe for consumption. You're not giving you a 99. 100% safe for consumption. You can only harvest using UPVC water harvesting gutters. Other people as well have been asking if the shingles are safe for water harvesting, and we tell you this: if you have the right shingles from Rex Roofing, then you should never worry about the particles that come off your roof. If you're roofing with the right quality roofing shingles from Rex Roofing, then you can be guaranteed that you can harvest water using your shingle roofed roof. You come up here, you're doing a flat roof, you want to waterproof your floors. We're giving you a 10% discount through October. Our week has been extended. It was ended yesterday, but we're still seeing if you can still get some discount. But if you want some discount on waterproofing solutions, please rush now. Kimbia wambia mtumo kutoka Tackle. You are 2 days late. It's already 2nd October, so you're 2 days late from October. 2nd November, so you're 2 days late already from October. But you can go in there. Ukisema tumakutuma basi, you never know, they could consider giving you a discount on waterproofing solutions. Rex Roofing roofs your wall, quality roofing shingles, stone coated tiles, UPVC water harvesting gutters, and also waterproofing membrane. We're also giving you another product soon, that is chain link, quality chain links. So very soon we'll be talking about the products that are coming in from Rex Roofing. Chain links are coming in, so you have got that conversation. So you can visit www.rexroofing.com and www.rexroofing.com, so you can choose from the different profiles that are available for your roof. The best thing about this is that you get a variety of what you want to choose. People have been asking me, do we have a branch in Eldoret, wanasema Nakuru? Others asking, do you have a branch in Machakos? Do you have a branch in Mombasa? You can deliver anywhere. Please make your order. You can call them on the numbers on the screen, or you can visit the website and you start getting to talk to them. You can do delivery anywhere else. Eldoret people, I think your branch is coming up soon, so stay tuned for more from Rex Roofing. Go there and check out the widest variety of roofing solutions from Rex Roofing. 10-year workmanship guarantee and 50 years product guarantee coming in from Rex Roofing. Rex Roofing roofs your world. 0704-646-664 is the number on your screen. You can call them today and make your order. And also giving you an opportunity to lipa pole pole. Come on, Ajenga, and you're not going to be building for the next 6 months. You can start paying for your roof slowly. Once you kulipia roof yako mdogo mdogo, after 6 months you can be pretty sure that you'll be done with your roof and you'll be able to roof without a hassle at all. Kama pia ushajenga tayari, nyumba ipo, sasa uko na nguvu ya kununua gari, kimbia pale Maridadi Motors Kiambu Road. Maridadi Motors inakupa nafasi ya kuweza kuagiza gari kwa bei nafuu zaidi. You can import directly with Maridadi Motors and you get to save up to 300,000 Kenyan shillings. Unaweza eka akiba yako ya zaidi ya $300,000 on import directly with Maridadi Motors. The shorter the chain in car dealership, the more money that you get to save. Also, it's giving you an opportunity to invest your money. If you're investing either for as an investment, you can put it as an investment and get up to 15% returns on your investment. Or if you also want to import to sell, you can invest your money there for a direct importation that you get to sell on your behalf as well. Maridadi Motorcycle gives an opportunity as well to save for 2 reasons. If you are saving for a unit, you can save up to 50% of the value of the car. And also, if you want to save, if you want to keep your money somewhere, savings, you can invest at Maridadi Motorcycle, and you get one as well up to 15% returns on the money that you get to put in that. Maridadi Motors inakupa nafasi ya kuweza kuagiza gari kwa bei nafuu zaidi, na pia inakupa nafasi ya kuweza kuwekeza pesa. Kama unafanya biashara pia, import to sell model gives an opportunity to be able to trade in not everybody can be a car dealer, so it gives an opportunity to ensure that you can be able to trade and do business without a hassle. Pia watu wangu pale wa D-Square where in Eldoret Ketia building, if you want to look as good as I look every single morning, you can trust D-Square Wear, that is in Eldoret Fort Kedia building, 4th floor, to ensure that you get the best outfits, African outfits, and also shoes na viatu na kila kitu mngaro zaidi. Unaweza kupata pale D-Square Wear. Tafuta Dan will give you a discount of 20% courtesy of the Tackle. Kama pia unataka kuweka ATM 325 ndio njia rahisi zaidi ya kuweza kuweka ATM yako. Enda baby number 325325, alafu account number yako, nambari yako ya simu. Alafu basi unaweza kuwa safi zaidi. You're doing delivery Zigo, inakupa nafasi ya kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba mzigo wako inafika kwa njia shwari zaidi. Haya, turudi kazini. List tumelipa bills kidogo. Acha turudi kazini tuone maswali ambayo yako pale YouTube. Acha niangalie kidogo. Peter Kinyanjui, good morning. Peter watching from Atlanta, Georgia. Good to see you. Thank you so much, Peter Kinyanjui. David Ngetich, good morning. GB and Prof, we are live in a world where the youths are not involved in matters that affects them. Definitely, if youths are not involved, they will never take responsibility or own their choices. They won't be leaders we want them to be. Inclusion in the decision-making process opens their eyes. Okay, definitely, in Kenya, the private universities are thriving, yet the public universities are struggling. What are the private universities doing right, and what are the public universities doing wrong? What needs to be changed? I think that's a question that we can get to directly.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's an interesting observation, and it's actually quite true. For example, when COVID-19 hit us, most private universities were able to sustain learning and teaching, including Park University. In fact, we were one of the universities on the front line, online learning and teaching. And actually, by converting all our programs to online,
yes,
we were able to comfortably sail through. And we are one of the best universities as far as online learning and teaching is concerned. But coming back to the question, yes, it is true that public universities are having lots of challenges, whereas the private universities, they have their own challenges also, but probably not as much as the government universities. One of the reasons is the structures and systems that are in place. You find that in private universities, the administrative structures are not as bureaucratic as in the government universities. So decisions can be taken quite quickly,
yes,
and precisely. For instance, let me give an example of ourselves. When during the COVID-19 pandemic, when it hit us, we were working very, very closely with the governing council. We were having meetings like almost on a weekly basis. Governing council guiding us, telling us, have you looked at this? Have you done this? So it's easy for people to have to discuss issues without bureaucracies and without barriers and all that. That's one thing, that the systems and structures in private universities are perhaps less bureaucratic, so decisions can be taken quickly and easily once issues arise. And I think the other reason is that most private universities are associated with they are owned by certain entities. And in many cases, those entities, for example, Park University is now owned by CITAM. And we are able to get support from CITAM in certain ways, not necessarily financial, but even in terms of guidance, in terms of ideas and ways of dealing with things. So there's that extra help that comes from the owners of the university. Whereas in the government, you know what it is, it's a government bureaucratic mechanism before you get the
system itself
from the government. I mean, things have gone, have gone haywire. So that's another reason. And of course, the other issue, and I say this with a little bit of hesitation, is the use of resources. There is better monitoring of the use of resources in I would say in private universities than the government universities. For example, there has been this issue of many government universities not being able to pay their taxes and statutory obligations. We haven't had that much from private universities. So I think it's also the issue of how resources are used, and the whole process of accountability on the use of resources. And in my view, those are some of the issues.
Right. Okay, so hii ndio shida ambayo iko kwa university. Talking about public universities and the collapse and the problems that they have. We have more university that looks like it's on its knees. And I saw someone yesterday was saying maybe we should convert it into something else. What do you think is going on?
We've had huge scandals in public university on how resources are made are used. And I want to mention particular universities, but they've all been in public domain. Even people being taken to court for misuse of resources in the universities. So I think that element of how well resources are used is also a factor.
So what's happening, do you think is happening specifically to Moi University? Have you been following on what's happening in Moi University?
No, let me not make specific comments on Moi University. Yeah, but I've been following, but it's unfortunate what's happening. But yeah.
Okay. Askia Moi University, kidogo, I've been receiving complaints from Moi University. Every single time I receive messages from students from Moi University. Graduating is a sport on its own. It's one of the 1,000 ways to die. I mean, someone has been trying to graduate for the last 7 years. Anyway.
So the other problem, Gerard, is the fact that in private universities, the governing councils, for example, are not political appointments. But in government universities, most of the governing council members are political, appointments.
Appointees.
So sometimes that compromises the competencies of members of the council. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes it may compromise.
Why do you have your gloves on this morning? You're being very politically correct. It's like sometimes, not always. Not always.
Of course, it needs sometimes, not always.
All right. Okay. That's how things are. So, even before we move from that, what then do you think is the role of private education institutions in balancing the ecosystem, the educational ecosystem?
I think the private universities definitely do have a place in the educational system, and I think the government has realized that, and that is why these days, even students who are studying private universities can get government loans, just like students that are getting education in public universities. They do have a place, especially. Let me say they have a place, especially when it comes to values. I mean, they're like in Kenya, we've got very many, Christian universities that espouse values. It's one thing getting a degree, and it's just another degree. It's another thing getting a degree, and then that comes with values.
Yes.
Because employers these days are not just looking for people with skills, and technical knowledge and certificates, but also looking for people that come with values. Because you can have a very brilliant person in terms of skills, in terms of knowledge, in terms of experience, but they use all that, to steal from you or to undermine the company, and we have seen it happening. So a lot of employers are now looking at not just education skills and competencies, but also what values are you bringing on the table. So I think one of the spaces that many private universities, a good number of private universities are bringing, is that aspect of values. The other space that they have is in completion times. Many private universities have got systems and structures that allow and enable the students to complete their programs in good time. We have had students, complaining of delays in supervision, a student staying for even 5-6 years, just doing a master's because of lack of structures and systems that help them to complete their programs on time. So I think the completion time in many private universities, private universities have got a better, I'm saying better here relatively, track record in terms of completion time compared to public universities.
Of programs.
Yeah, like now I've got 2 examples of 2 students who have actually pulled out of a public university because of supervision. They have been, the one student has been on a master's program for the last 4 years, and she has just given up. So I told her, why don't you come back to university? We are going to, our systems and structures enable you to finish on time. So I think structures and systems that enable students to complete their programs in time are very important, and I think those systems are a lot better in private universities.
So are they then, or do you think there has been an argument that private institutions are threatening the existence of public institutions? Do you think you guys are going to run the government out of business?
No, we cannot.
And what are the risks?
we cannot, because you see the private universities are also limited in terms of their capacity to accommodate students. In terms of facilities, structures, and systems. I don't think the private universities can threaten government, or public universities. And of course, the other thing is that most of the private universities are art-based. They don't have many science-based. We don't have many science-based private universities. As far as science is concerned, I think the government universities are a lot better, and we need science and innovation to move this country forward. Some of the countries that are doing very well economically, especially the southeastern economic giants, they are doing well because they have invested a lot in science and technology. Look at the kind of technologies that are coming out from Jomo Kenyatta University. If there was a system and a structure for harnessing all those technologies and driving them into the economic structure, we would go somewhere. So anyway, what I'm saying is that government institutions still do have a lot of competitive advantages of private universities, especially in that area of science and technology. And there's no way private universities will ever drive public universities out of business.
It happened.
Because not easy.
Look at the basic education. The basic education completely has been run out of business.
Oh yeah, basic
it's how basic education, primary school. Nobody takes their children to public schools anymore. So maybe it's just a matter of when, not if.
When it comes to basic education, maybe there's a threat, but even then, the threat is rather. It's there, but not to the extent that the private schools will edge out government schools, because there are many people that are living below the poverty line, cannot afford the kind of fees that you pay in private basic schools. So we still have a big chunk of our population getting education through the public
system.
Public system. Yes.
All right. Do you think the government has invested enough in public institutions? Do you think it has invested enough? Do you think there's still something that needs to be done?
There's still something that needs to be done.
That's a weird question, asking someone from private sector.
That needs to be done. Some time ago, the government used to put in a lot of money into public institutions. And I can quote a good example. In libraries, universities cannot thrive without, good libraries. And I know there's a time that the government used to put a lot of money into public universities to take care of different things, including research and innovations, libraries and all that. When I was doing my PhD, I actually got very frustrated because I was hopping from one public university to another, looking for journals. And I used to find journals, they stopped subscribing to journals like 5-10 years ago, and I would get very, very frustrated. So there's a time that the government used to invest a lot in public universities, but it's not to the same extent these days. Yeah, of course, the government is supporting the current expenditures of the university. That they're doing quite well. But in terms of growth and development of the public universities, that's not happening.
It's lacking.
It's lacking, yeah.
Right.
Because you don't just need to maintain the status quo. You need to progress. You need to develop structures and systems that take our public universities to the next level.
All right. Okay. Just again, good to see you. Good morning. Tuned in from Eldoret, Asante sana. Abraham Chelanga, morning, been away. Back strong and healthy, watching from Eldoret, the city of champions. Good to see you. Richard Kosgei, good morning from Nevasha. Hapa kazi tu, asante sana. Karen, some good morning. Asante sana. Karen, salimia to Paul Boyd. Thank you. Good to see you this morning. Kamna Nick Sheriot, good morning from Ethiopia. Thanks, Team Tackle, as I celebrated his birthday. We have been together. Happy birthday, my brother, Governor Nick from Ethiopia. Sebastian, good to see you. Irene Onjiku, excellent. A politician is not necessarily a leader. All right. Okay. In Kenya, it's intertwined. It's a cocktail of politician. Sometimes the politics is more than the leadership. Sami K. Karanja, good morning from USA. Good to see you, Sami K. Karanja. Sante sana, good to see you all the way from the US. Up Gitao, very well in. Sante sana. Who else is here? Wambui Mashara, good morning, my brother. Good morning to you, Wambui. Vincent Barkutwa, good morning, Gerard. Listening to you guys at Kabarak University. Ask Prof to address the issue of student leadership in most of the universities. Gerard, we have election of student leaders who at many times play no roles because the school administration want them to do what they selectively want, and therefore no pure representation and presentation of student affairs. Question to you, Prof.
Exactly. That's what I talked about earlier, that there doesn't seem to be a structured system of listening to student, grievances, issues and concerns. So a lot of times you find the school leadership loading it on the student. This is what's going to happen, and no discussion, no argument. It has got to be done. And I think we're having a youth that wants to engage. The millennials. These are millennials.
They want to talk.
Yeah, they want to talk. They want to engage. They want to reason with you. They don't take orders, easily and lying down. They want to engage. They want to reason. Why are you telling us to do this? What's the logic? They want to listen to logic and reason. And as long as we keep lauding on our students, telling them this is what's going to happen and there's no choice, you have to do it, then we will continue having this unrest. But we need to engage. If it's a leadership, if it's a leadership of the student, whatever the leadership structure that there is for students, let that leadership engage with the leadership of the university. And we are doing that at Park University. I mean, I'm not priding, but that's what we do. Recently, we had a whole afternoon just to discuss issues with the student leadership, and we were able to tease out quite a number of sticky issues, and we're dealing with them. And if you engage, you'll be able to know where they're coming from, what are their issues, what are their challenges, and you address them before it becomes a big issue. Because you see, the problem is that when you pile a problem upon a problem upon a problem, it will erupt one day. Then the students say, "This time you did this. The other time you did that, now you have done this, we can't take it anymore," because you're not dealing with issues as they come. So my view is that we need to have school leadership that engages in a meaningful way with the student leadership to mitigate the kind of problems that we are having. And as long as we don't do that, then we keep having these kind of problems where students are protesting and burning schools and all that. And of course, I talked about counseling.
Yes.
That is quite important. We need to have counseling services, sufficient counseling services for students, and of course even chaplaincy, because the counseling could also, it's a spiritual type of counseling could also help. And we do not have very many schools with well-trained chaplains and counseling and counselors. So all those elements need to be taken into consideration. But I think the biggest, the elephant in the room is the need for development of institutional framework and structure that enables student leadership to engage with the school leadership.
Okay.
Yeah, on a regular basis, not when issues arise, but on a regular basis.
Or maybe when it fits them. Sometimes they want to have it when it fits them. Have the convention when it fits them. All right. So that's it. We should have a leadership in schools that engage more with the students, because the millennials, they are very noisy people. They are not people they're going to give instructions. They want to know why. You are telling us to turn left. Why?
Yes.
Why not right? So you have to convince them they need to turn.
Yeah, you engage with them. You reason with them.
Yeah. All right.
Even God tells us, come, let us listen together.
Let's reason
God
together.
can tell us to come together and listen together. Why not school leadership?
Why not school leadership?
Listen with the leadership.
Call the students, come, reason together. Millie Kosgei from Australia. Time for work here, but let me leave my thoughts on education and leadership. Leadership is a skill that can be acquired. Education is a bonus to good leaders. But in my experience, leadership can be embraced and incorporate other factors to bring out the best outcome. We are all leaders in our own capacity, but we are not educated or have university degrees. We don't need to influence masses based on education. Let's embrace the skill and do the right things for others to emulate. What do you think about that?
Yeah, we are all leaders in different capacities, and we all find ourselves in different leadership spaces. Right from the family, all of us come from family. Some of us are parents. And as a leader in the family, you've got a responsibility right down there, because the kind of leadership that you espouse is what your children will take after. Because children do what they see you do, not what you tell them. So, and the right kind of leadership at the family level will help us to have young people that have got the right leadership values, because they look at parents as models and as role models. So leadership, we are all leaders in different ways, and I sometimes feel very, very, very disgruntled with the expression that young people are leaders of tomorrow. They're not leaders of tomorrow. They're leaders of today. They can provide leadership wherever they are. Leadership is not a preserve of a particular age group. No, it is a disposition that you need to take at whatever age and at whatever space. Even like here, you've got leadership responsibility. These people are looking up to you, and I'm sure you've got other leadership responsibility in society. Whatever you do, how you do it, influences others, and they'll do what they see you do, not necessarily what you tell them. So leadership, there are two elements about leadership. There are some people who are born leaders, and sometimes it is just evident. For example, in a crisis, have you ever been in a crisis and you see someone just taking charge
out of
nowhere? Those are people that have got natural leadership abilities. But many aspects of leadership can be cultivated. They can be learned. Starting with self-leadership. For example, self-leadership. If you cannot lead yourself,
you cannot lead anyone.
Business leading anyone. So leadership starts with self-leadership. Understanding yourself, understanding your personality, understanding your values and espousing the right values, and developing a culture of learning, because we never stop learning, and developing a vision for yourself and for your family. It all starts with self-leadership. If you cannot lead yourself, then you cannot lead anyone. So you need to, at one time or the other, ask yourself, what do I stand for as a leader? What are my values as a leader? What's my vision as a leader or as a person? And when you have internalized all those, then you're able to espouse the same to others. And you also need to know. Leaders are people who know the way, who show the way, and lead the way. So even in a family setting, a father, because fathers are the de facto leaders of families. Of course, even where they have no fathers, mothers can take those responsibilities. You need to know the way. Where are you taking this family? And you need to show this is the way that we are going. And you need to lead it, not showing and then you are behind. So leaders are people who know the way, who show the way and who lead.
And lead the way.
So even in your own space, are you doing exactly that? Do you know the way? Are you showing it? And are you leading it in whatever space? Yeah.
All right. Okay. That's quite profound. Incredible. Abbas Njuguna says, spare the rod, spoil the child. In the and congratulations, Abbas Njuguna. Ongera sana. Thank you so much for sticking with us for all year. I'm seeing you are an anniversary follower. Happy anniversary, Abbas Njuguna on the tackles. Thank you so much for sticking with us for all year. We turn a year old and we also turning a year older with you. Thank you so much for being with us and for always supporting us. I always tell you that without you, the tackle could never be. We are because you are. Spare the rod, spoil the child. In the era of Kababa and Kamama, is it still true?
No, actually, it's actually biblical. I mean, there's a scripture. There's a scripture reference that you spare the child, you spoil. You spare the rod, you spoil the child. In many ways, it is true. But a rod should not be taken necessarily in a physical sense, because you have seen people. I mean, going overboard in terms of using the cane. But it's basically. It speaks to disciplining a child. And there are many ways of disciplining a child. You need, first of all, to understand the psychology of the child and the personality of the child. There's a child who will respond to beating and say, no, this one, I don't want to be beaten, I better behave myself. The others who will become worse when you beat them. They become even violent, they become worse. And you need to understand the personality of the child. Caning is not necessarily the best, but discipline as a principle should happen. I mean, discipline could be denying a child what they love doing. It could be, is preventing them from going to play at a particular time. So discipline could take many different forms, not necessarily the cane, but discipline as a principle is important. And it is key to character development. When I was growing up, my mother was really tough on us. She used to really beat us when we...
you didn't die. You didn't die. Did you?
But I learned quite a number of things. I remember there's a time, my mother had given us responsibility of cooking, and instead of cooking, we went fishing with my brother. When we came back...
But you're looking for something to cook.
I thought I'm eating. And I was told, you're not going to eat today. So anyway, what I'm saying is that discipline as a principle should be encouraged. It does not necessarily mean caning. It could be other forms of disciplining. But you see, disciplining is important, and it should be encouraged. But it should be moderate. It should be checked, but not necessarily using the cane. The Bible says very clearly that fathers do not over-exercise discipline on the children. Yes, we discipline them, but do not go overboard, because now that will create, negative reaction from the children.
Hasa don't spare the rod. You can still somehow once in a while whip them. Once in a while. All right. Finally, CBC. CBC came in. It's been an headache, like both parents and children are in school. And I was seeing another joke the other day, saying a teacher saying the child ambia mzazi apike kuku na kutumanisha nayo. CBC has come with a lot of drama. Some people have criticized it as a system that did not do enough consultation on parents and all the stakeholders. And also at some point it looked like the government was struggling in implementing it. It looked like it was getting a bit overwhelmed in running this thing. Is it a strategic blunder, or is it a pathway that we needed?
Okay, let me say that CBC as a strategy, as a concept, it's a pretty good thing, because, like I said earlier, what it does is to encourage children to develop skills and abilities other than just education. So it helps students to get both, to develop both the skills and competencies that are necessary in the industry. It helps children to identify their talents at an early stage. Yeah. So that there are those, there are those that have got such good talents that even continuing with education may not be helpful. They would rather, advance the area of talents and innovation. But of course, you need a basic level of education. Yes. For example, a basic degree is very important, because at the degree level, you are able to. The brain is flexible enough, and you get the mental attitude and the intellectual attitude that you can use in other spheres, even in business. So I'm not saying that we should just concentrate on the talents and innovations alone. But what I'm saying is that even as we educate our children to get the educational or whatever skills, we also need to identify their talents and innovations, and not ignore that part of a child's, development. So that at some point you can decide, parents and teachers can decide, okay, this child, we better now stop the educational path and develop the talents path. But I think the logic behind involving parents is that children are influenced a lot by teachers and also by parents.
Yes.
And I think it's a good thing for parents to get involved in a way in the child's education, because they do have an influence on the child. But the question is to what extent? Maybe CBC maybe going a little bit. I don't know. I don't want to say overboard, but I think there's a lot of involvement of parents in the education process. But as a principle, as a concept of involving parents, I do agree with it, because kids get influenced a lot by parents and their teachers. Yeah.
So are we at your level at the university? Are you ready for the CBC kids?
We are getting ready. We're getting ready. We are putting structures and systems in place to prepare ourselves for the CBC, for students who are coming from the CBC system. We are reviewing our curriculum. We are reviewing our facilities, because most of the students are used to technical competences, so we need to evaluate our facilities as well. Yeah, so we are getting prepared. I know there's some universities that are far much further than us, but we are also on track in terms of preparing ourselves for students coming from rolling out from the CBC system.
Any changes that you think could be done with the system? Any changes that you think you could recommend on the system? Anything else you would recommend?
I think what could actually be very helpful, and I ought to have said this a little bit earlier, is a national skills inventory. A national skills inventory would help us to know, or to have a census of how many professionals we have in a particular area, where we are lacking in skills, where we are lacking in competencies as a country. And then as we develop our education structures, we perhaps put a little bit of emphasis on the areas where we are having skills deficits. And I think that could have helped a little bit. A combination of the CBC system with a skills inventory, so that we know which are the areas that we really need more skills and competencies for us to grow our economy. Perhaps that could have been done a little bit better. That could have been considered.
All right. Any other thoughts that you wish to share with us this morning, Prof?
On
anything that you think would be interesting, Kenya perspective.
I can't think of anything in particular, but what I would want to say is that as Kenyans, we have individual responsibilities, and we have individual responsibilities to make this nation one nation, and individual responsibilities. The total sum of individual responsibilities collectively will make this nation what it should be. Even in matters of corruption, you need to take personal stance against corruption. Say, if you personally say, "I'll never get involved in corruption," the other person says they won't get involved in corruption, then collectively we'll be able to slay this animal. Personally, I have taken that stand. I've been taken to court for refusing to bribe, not about 2 times or about 3 times, but I've paid the price for not bribing. Another issue, of course, is that we need to espouse values that improve the integrity and cohesion of this nation. Let us take that personal responsibility, and let's be intentional about it. If you're intentional about ethical values, about taking a personal stand, I think collectively we will change this nation. But it has to start with us, with individuals.
All right. There's something else. You mentioned that the people that we are challenging to change this nation are the millennials. I think very soon some of us will be out of business of changing the nation. We'll be relying on the millennials to change the country, and the people who have been born thereafter. Most of the guys are in school right now. They're out of school, a different level of school. There's something that's going on. It's called voter registration. And these guys, they have refused to come out. How do you think? Do you think there's any other way you're going to change this country? Because it looks like they are giving up, and they are they don't have any interest of getting involved anymore in the leadership of this country.
I think, Gerard, the problem comes from what you had alluded to and I had alluded to earlier, the fact that we have a very big part of, a very big chunk of our population being in that youth bracket, and there haven't been very, very intentional strategies and systems of bringing them into the political and economic space. We keep talking about giving jobs to the youth, and all we are doing is giving them menu jobs out there to clean seats and whatever. I think we need intentionality of ensuring that our youth are mainstreamed in the economic development and the political systems. And as long as we do not do that, they will feel disenfranchised. Yes. They will feel like strangers, and they will not even vote because they feel what difference is it going to make. So there's going to be voter apathy, and unless and until we are intentional about integrating the youth in leadership, in the economic leadership, in the political leadership, in the social leadership, they will continue being resentful, and they will continue having this kind of apathy. Okay. So we need intentionality, and meaningful strategies of integrating our youth into
engaging these people,
so that they feel a sense of ownership. Right now, I think the apathy is brought about by lack of sense of ownership. If you know, it is their government, it is their country. You see. So unless we're intentional and very deliberate about integrating them into decision-making processes, in the decision-making processes,
others they'll get tired.
If they get tired, they develop apathy, and they'll be resentful.
Okay, and that means then we are stuck also. Given Kanisa Osundwa, university should develop competency skills that address unemployment and utilization of idle capacity, causes that will address economy and social aspects. Maybe you can respond to that.
Yeah, I had actually said earlier that we need to ensure that universities develop links and partnerships with the industry, so that the kind of graduates that come from universities are suitable for the marketplace. The other point which I also needed to mention earlier is that we are having a lot of qualified youths out there, and if we were to have a system of labor, this is my view, labor export, because there are some countries, for example, in the Middle East and in the Middle East or in Southern Africa, for example, Botswana and others, who actually do require this kind of skills. Yeah. But you don't have a formal and institutionalized mechanism of labor export, and that could actually help alleviate. It could help alleviate youth unemployment. Yes. But this you just find people looking for jobs looking for jobs on their own in the Middle East, in Southern African countries and all of you. There are some countries that actually do need the surplus skills that we have here. But do we have a government institutional framework for labor export that we can use to deal with the unemployment of the youth and also revenue generation? Okay. Look at the kind of money that's coming from diaspora, from US and from Canada, whatever else, where our people are working. A lot of our foreign exchange is coming from our diaspora. Yeah. And I believe we would have a lot more money flowing into this country if we had an institutional framework of labor export.
All right. Okay. Asante sana. Thank you so much for coming. So it's been a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for the wisdom that you've taken time to share with us. And thank you as well for what you're doing to ensure that we have young people coming out of school with values, not just education, not ABCD, but also the value that comes behind it, and they ought to be functional human beings. I think we need more of these people to come out and ensure that things are being done differently. Otherwise, we'll keep whining and complaining about the state of leadership, state of politics, state of everything that is not working out right until we fix the people that run these systems. I don't think we'll be out of these woods very soon.
Yeah, like I said, Gerard, it all begins with you as an individual.
Yes.
And at Park University, we have got many programs, and all our programs have leadership elements.
And by the way, what are the programs that you're offering at Park University?
We have a wide range of programs. We have very good programs on leadership. Our leadership programs start all the way from a first degree in bachelor. We have a Bachelor of Arts in Transformational Church Leadership. This is suitable for people in ministry. Then we've got a diploma in leadership and management. This is a very good program for people in business, especially SMEs. We teach them leadership principles, management principles, entrepreneurial principles. We have a Master's of Arts in Leadership for people for professionals, especially people in middle management. And we get a lot of students registering from corporate institutions. And we've got a PhD in leadership. And we have quite a number of students joining this program from all over the world. We have students from Southern African countries, from Nigeria, from Congo, from US, from Canada, because all our programs are fully online. So leadership is one of the disciplines that we really are strong in. Of course, we have got programs in counseling psychology. We've got a bachelor, a diploma, a certificate in counseling psychology. We've got a degree in counseling psychology, 2 master's programs in psychology, in counseling psychology, 1 on marriage and family therapy, and a PhD program in counseling psychology and marriage and family therapy. Then we've got other programs in business. We've got a bachelor's in business leadership. You not only learn about business, but you learn how to be a leader within the business environment. And of course, a Bachelor of Commerce, a Master's in Business Administration. We've got programs in communications and IT. And community development. We have programs in communications, and we got one of the best studios, when it comes to communications. Okay. Recently, we got some cameras from a company called Black Magic. We were told that those are the best cameras in Africa.
Those are the best cameras right now.
Yes, yeah.
I can attest.
Yeah, can attest.
Yes.
Yeah, we have the latest.
I can attest. I can attest.
And of course, we've got a wide range of programs in theology. Bachelors in Bible and Theology, 3 master's programs in theology, and we are in the process of developing a PhD program in theology.
Okay.
And those that will be interested in registering with us can go to our website, www.parkuniversity.ac.ke, and you'll get all the information.
Well, do you have how many branches do you have?
We only have one campus.
Okay.
We had another one at Tewale, but it is not functional because almost all our programs are fully online.
So
about 95% of all our programs are.
So even communication is online.
Yeah, fully online. There are some elements that are blended, so students can come physically to use the studios.
Okay.
But the beauty of online learning is that you can actually learn from anywhere.
Anywhere you are.
Yeah, at your own convenience. So I would encourage our viewers to come to go to the website, look at our programs, and you can also apply online. You don't have to fill in papers and whatever. You just apply online, and we'll get back to you.
All right. Asante, thank you so much. That's it from Park University. A wide range of courses that you can get in, and you only don't get it, you get it, but also you get teamed and programmed as a human, as a functional human being with values and ability to lead the society. Abbas Njuguna says the government only needs our money in form of taxes, but how a person gets abroad is none of their business. They are waiting for you to get there. Now they say, now you are there. Do something about it. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a pleasure having you, and I still want to tell you that you are the change that you're looking for. You're not going to see any other person coming in to make the changes for you that you'd want to see until you step out yourself and ensure that you're going to make those changes. It's been a pleasure having you. It's always a pleasure having you on the tackle, and we ask that you continue supporting us. You can always keep sharing our broadcast and having a conversation with people around what we talk about every single day. If you have any questions, and anybody that you think we should host on the show as well, that you think will give value to the people, you can send us an inbox, and then we'll see what to do with us. And also, if you want to advertise, you can always contact us and have a conversation with us, and we'll give you best value for money. Until tomorrow on Siasa Wednesday, this has been the Tackle the Tackle State of the Nation edition of the 2nd November 2021. We've been with Daktari Professor Dan. Daktari na Professor tunachanganyanga kidogo sisi watu huku nje, but Professor Dan Kiambi kutoka Park University, and take us through the leadership process and also the education system, and hope to see him again soon so that we can continue having this conversation and making this place a better world. We can change this country, we can change this world, a conversation at a time. It's been a pleasure having you. The guys on YouTube, guys on Facebook as well. Thank you for your feedback and for your questions. Alafu basi tuweza kuzungumza tena kesho. Until tomorrow, see you and bye bye. Enjoy your day.